This is my crash analysis for a crash that recently happened to me just a few days ago, and it was terrifying and surprising and painful, and I never want to experience anything like that again. And honestly, if this is a part of what dirt biking is all about, then I'm probably going to go a different direction, because I am not willing to sustain crashes like this. This one was brutal and totally unexpected, so I need to get to the bottom of why it happened and how I can avoid something like this happening in the future. So let's get to it. Here is the crash. Playback might be a little rough, but check it out. Boom, front wheel goes up, and boom, and I'm down. Pile driven, face first, into the dirt. At some speed. Boom. Front wheel is up, and did not recover. So I just want to show you slowly, after I've had a look at it now and having experienced it, what I think happened here. So I'm cruising along, I'm having a good time. You'll see on this trail, there's some erosion ruts and tire track ruts here that I'm tracking down the middle of, trying to stay up on that little ridge line in the middle. Everything's going fine. But here you can see approaching this little depression here, this little divot that encroaches into this ridge line. And bloop, my front wheel dips down into it. And when that happens, the throttle is engaged in an uncontrolled way and in a totally unexpected way. And boom, the rebound of the front suspension adds to that throttle blip, as well as begins lifting the front off, the combination of which puts me into an uncontrolled wheelie with a bunch of side lean. The bike is leaning off to the right here while it's in this wheelie, so it's tracking the bike off to the right. I'm able to get the RPMs under control here. You'll hear here, let me play it for you slow, and you hear the RPMs go up but then come back down. RPMs up and coming back down. But now I need to wrestle control of the bike and to try to get that front wheel to track under me. So what I got to do is pull on that front handlebar, pull my body up the seat because it's thrown me back, get back in a riding position, get that front wheel to track right to get under me. But in doing so, pulling on that right bar opens the throttle again, and it loosens that back end again. And now the bike has just a crazy amount of lean angle. The bike is leaned way over to the right. The front wheel is tracking a little bit here, but it's not tracking enough to correct that extreme lean angle. And I release the bars around here. I release the bars, try to put my hands out in front of me to try to slide along this thing, but I'm just body slammed face first into that dirt. And it hurts. It is what I would call a dead cat bounce. If you try to make a dead cat bounce, that's what that felt like. I was just slammed face belly first into this dirt. And I probably did bounce. Honestly, when I look at where I wound up, I think I probably did. But man, did it hurt. And I was concerned for the well-being of my organs and struggled to breathe for quite a while. But honestly, the struggling to breathe didn't bother me. I've had the wind knocked out of me plenty of times. I grew up playing football, so I knew my breathing would come back, but the pain in my stomach and liver, and oh man, it was brutal. I felt like I had gotten kicked in the gut by a horse. So it was concerning. But all in all, it worked out as well as it could be, because I did land on a nice flat patch here. No jagged rocks to rip me up. My protective gear worked great. I had no scuffs on my elbows, hands, knees, nothing. There's no bruising on my body. Really just internally, I'm still bruised up. Here's the bottom line. Why did this happen? Obviously, I need to get in a riding position so that when there's an uncontrolled dip and rebound in the front, it's not going to hit the throttle on me. So I can probably improve my wrist position when I'm cruising so that that wouldn't happen. Also, I'm sure my response to it happening wasn't great. I really wasn't able to get control of the bike at any point after the front end was up here. That could probably have been recovered better. I think it's typical of a new rider having way too much power. I had a commenter on the original crash video that said that, and I think he's absolutely right. I do think I have too much bike here, but I love the bike, and I think over time it could be the best bike in the world for me, but it clearly isn't now, because this is just downright dangerous. Tiny little bump like this to induce this insane, out-of-control crash that, I mean, if this was a cliff right here, that could be fatal. That could have been fatal. So obviously that's unacceptable. So first and foremost, I'm going to stop riding in map 1 on this bike. I need to try to slow this bike down, slow that throttle response down. So I'm going to flip it to map 2 until I no longer whiskey throttle. Because when I look back on my history of riding now, I have about 12 to 13 hours of total ride time now. And in almost every ride session I have, there's some time where that uncontrolled throttle shows up. And you can see in the last ride video I did, the McCain Valley, it definitely showed up there and almost sent me into some bushes. So until I can get these whiskey throttles under control so they're no longer showing up in my riding, I'm not riding map 1. And secondly, I'm going to try to take it a step further and get a G2 throttle tamer. This is the throttle tamer, and it just modifies the cam on the throttle to introduce the throttle more slowly in the beginning and then move to a normal, more accelerated state in the second half of the acceleration, which I really like the sound of, because I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword. What's amazing about a two-stroke like this is that the power is instant, and because of that, it's so much fun. The downside of that is the power is huge and it's instant, which can be remarkably dangerous for a beginner like myself, which is exactly what I experienced here. So I'm going to try to use this throttle tamer to tone it down. See how this works here? You can see this flattened out cam here. It just means it's not going to roll the throttle open as quickly in the beginning, and then eventually rolls it on in full blast. But maybe the rotation that I did here in this crash would have been in this range here, and it wouldn't have got me in as much trouble. Maybe my front end would have stayed on the ground and I could have rode away from it with this. So I'm going to throw this on the bike. I'll let you know how it goes. All right, so let's just watch it again for the heck of it. And slowed down. Man, it's just such a tragedy, man. It's so scary that this can happen this fast. I was riding with confidence this day too. I'd been feeling great about my riding. Everything had been going pretty well. And then this, just driving down a dirt road, to just lose it and take a heavy crash like this. It really questions my decision to enter this pastime. But at the same time, I really want to work through this and I want to enjoy this pastime, but I'm only willing to do that if I can do it safely. So if you have any input for me, please let me know. I'm a noob. I'm trying to learn as fast as I can. I need to learn as fast as I can because I am not okay with crashing like this. Thanks for watching and hope to hear from you.